So now what we're going to do is shift gears just a little bit and get back to adding some detail to the bottle. So 002 is my current scene. I'm going to save an incremental. And mine's going to jump to 4 because I've already have saved an incremental. So I have 2 backups. We're going to turn off the main light here, and we're going to turn off the ground. We don't actually need those on just right now. And what we want to do is get in here to the bottom and start really working with that bottom surface there. So let's select the actual lathe NURBS object. That was our original curve turned into a bottle. And what I want to do is take some of these polygons here and move them up. So you might think to just go to polygon mode, move it, or even just, select a few more. For instance, let's do this. We'll go here, regular select mode, polygon mode, choose the lathe NURBS, and then maybe just select like this, and then move it up. Okay, that could work, especially when you select the actual regular bottle and you render. It's okay, but it might be a little bit too much, and we get a little pinching in there, which we can certainly work with, because we're not going to do it quite like that. We're going to do it a little bit more precisely. And the other issue with doing it like that is that it goes right to the center. So when we lift both sides up, what's going to happen is that that center is going to come up too. Not quite like what we want. So we've got 2 things to do here. So first we're going to select all of these polygons. So go back to select, make sure that NURB is selected, and we're going to select those. Now, you might think to knife this, but the way the knife tool is going to work, if you right-click and choose knife, you're actually going to go between polygons. And that's kind of a lot of work to come down and try and slice bit by bit. Not really so good to work with. All right, so what we're going to do, and it's a tool we've used already, right-click, and then choose Extrude, but to use the Extrude Inner command. Then just click and drag. And that way we can create just somewhat of a ring, almost like we had sliced that selection. So it's a really good use for the Extrude Inner. Okay, so now you can see we have just a nice area we can work with to select. And you can even just move that up and so on. But we're not going to do it with polygons. We're actually going to do it with edges. Okay, so now we're going to jump to the edge mode. And we're going to change to another selection mode, this lasso select mode here. And we'll come around here and just select right like this. Now you're probably going to have to add a little bit more and deselect a little. Okay, but look what happened. Remember we turned this off in the previous video? So let's undo that. Turn on only select visible elements. And then let's try and select again. Okay, so you can see how important this little toggle is right here. For the cap, we needed it off. For the bottom, we need it on. And then hold your shift key to add to selection and just get in there and select that added bottom edge. Kind of like this. There we go. Go back to regular selection and then hold the shift key. Okay, so there is one selection. And we want to do about 4 of those. Okay, so there's that one. And then let's just choose the exact opposite of it. Right there. It's this guy right here. And you don't want to do the grow selection like we've done earlier because it will grow into the center. Certainly you could, but it will grow too much down here and not enough up here. So it's just easier to pretty much do it like this. But when you select this one, go back to the lasso select, hold the shift key because you want to add to the selection and try and select down underneath it. Okay. And if you are clever enough and you can get down here low enough, you might actually get that one. Okay. And now let's do the cross sections right about like there. Can you see why I didn't make this entirely transparent at this point? It'd be a little bit harder to work with. And if you get down all the way underneath this one and around back up, haha, one shot on that one. And then let's do this one. Hold the shift key. And we'll come down and around. All right. Oh, I'm off on that one. So undo. Looks like I'm off on 2 of these. Okay, so let's go back. Hold your control key. Lasso select to deselect. And then I'm going to make sure I'm totally lined up here. There we go. Good. And then we'll do this other side. So unfortunately, some things are just a little more manual than others, and that's okay. It's good to know that there's actually not always just a quick instant button to do certain things. Sometimes there is, but other times it's just good old-fashioned selection, deselection. Okay, now, you got to make sure, too, that you go up to the point where, go back to your regular selection tool, and then hold your Shift key and add to the selection so that you come up to the large expanse here. And that's going to help us avoid pinching when we pull these up. All right, so there's our selection. And then take your green handle, and we're going to pull those up like that. Press the S key, just to kind of fit them to view, and then we'll zoom out a little bit. Okay, and now we've got those nice little indents there, but if you go back to the actual hyperNURBs, we've now pulled up the bottom, but still left a nice little area in the center. And we've got a nice little flat area here where it can stand, but we also have a nice curvature here. Okay, and that's the advantage of working with edges over polygons. And with the hyperNURBs on, it smooths all that out. Okay, so that actually works pretty well for us right now. And certainly you can tweak and adjust as you feel. Work with maybe 4 or 5, because I'm actually pretty sure that you might have 5 spots on the bottom of a bottle, not 4. But a little bit easier to do 4 at this point. If you want to do 5 and just count those polygons and just divide it up equally, that could work pretty well for you. All right, so there's the bottom of that bottle. Now let's go ahead and work with the polygons here. So go on to the next video, and I'll show you how you can select all these around and then create an interesting shape here. And then we'll start adding a little more refraction and getting some more of the final look.